Frank, welcome to week 6 of Pardon the Disruption.
Hey, good morning, Kyle.
Good morning. Ready to kick this thing off?
Let's do it.
Cool. Coming to you live from Common Desk 6 in Congress here in downtown Austin. This is Pardon the Disruption, week 6. It's actually our 4th episode, but we changed the naming scheme to weeks in the year. So we're at the sixth week of 2021.
We are. And we are being brought to you by Nice and Contact, world leader in CX and contact center technology and Restream. And you already did the shout out to Common Desk, but hey, they're notable. We're in the Littlefield building, downtown 6 in Congress, like you said. The views are beautiful. It feels like spring outside.
Oh, yeah, it does. It does. It really does. So if this is your first time tuning in, my name's Kyle Burt. I'm the CTO and co-founder of Acuerdo.
Frank Rogers, CXO, co-founder of Acuerdo.
And this is Pardon the Disruption. So each week we're getting into some hot topics here as we kind of put our 2 cents on it, put our spin on it, and open up the conversation. So Frank, without further ado, let's kick this off. Let's bring up our rundown. Here's the rundown on the screen here. First up, we're looking at 21 Austin startups. So 21 hottest Austin startups to follow right now in 21.
Yeah. And it's a great topic because, I mean, we don't have South by Southwest this year in the physical sense with all that kind of popping that goes on with that. But there's a lot of action underway in Austin. Again, that level of attractiveness around Austin, Texas is profound. And if you look at like the group of people in that 21, it is really, it's diverse. It's diverse in terms of across, like the focus that they're going after, supply chain, energy, audience curation, a lot of logistics companies. I mean, if you think about like the challenges that came out of COVID, people pushed into mobility even more so. Not that they weren't there already, but like they are there. And so anything that like takes out friction in the process, gets things moving faster velocity wise. In fact, as we go down through our lineup today, we'll just see that just played out more and more. So I thought it was really, really powerful. A lot of diversity as well in terms of like where people sit in terms of funding. So you have people that are bootstrapping, some people that are in, early rounds, but very, very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, as I'm looking through the list right here, I mean, there's a lot of like supply chain and logistics companies to watch for. I think what this is telling me is like there's a trend of like disrupting an industry that maybe they haven't like digitally adapted in the past, right? Like we're looking at, Sustainment is a company here. They're an Austin startup hoping to become a player in the mammoth market of government and business. Then there's Yoda Energy. Then there's a check app. So we got some fintech, Supply Drop. So we're seeing a lot of like supply chain and logistics companies, ShipShape Solutions.
I think everything almost points to it. Like if you look at the IoT functionality that they talk in there, it's about getting, help to a problem that you may be having with your refrigerator or something along those lines. It's all logistics. Everything is pointing to how can you get to a service or a product quickly. Mobility is at the top and efficient use of time. I mean, all these things really speak to that. The fintech, everything.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. We got, there's quite a lot to look for. I mean, I think this article. I mean, they're trying to get to 21, right? Because it's 21, the year of 21.
Right.
But there
might be 22.
But I see something in here like pretty disruptive. Like there's a company here called Stylist, right? So like bringing technology to like hairstylists. Like an app for hair, like everyone wants to be the Uber of the next big thing, right? They want to be the Uber of their industry, but like seeing some of these things come to life is pretty interesting.
Yeah, and I think Stylist is more of like a marketplace, curating around style and that marketplace componentry. So, again, it's about like consumption. How do we consume services, products? How do we get access to it? How do we do that on a mobile sense? All the way across the board, everything here is just reinforcing the paradigm shift that was already underway last year, but that just got kicked off rock solid.
Oh yeah, no, I got that completely wrong. The clock ticking, the added pressure here to get to run through this.
I felt it.
Yeah, you feel it, right?
Yeah, I did.
What else stood out to you here, Frank?
Let's get on to the topic of text gifting.
Okay, cool. Right. Before we do, if you guys are joining us right here on LinkedIn, see below here, you can drop in on Clubhouse as well. After the show, we're going to just continue the conversation. So the link to Clubhouse is right here. You go to acuerdo.club. Again, that's Acuerdo, ACUERDO.club, and you will be taken directly to our Clubhouse event that is actually going on right now as we speak as well. So if you're listening in Clubhouse, hello to you as well.
And if you're not on Clubhouse and you're having like a serious like internal feeling of FOMO, like it's bubbling up, like, and you have an Apple device, go ahead and download the application. And if you need some help with that, DM us with your telephone number, and we'll make sure that we sponsor you to the front of the line.
Yeah, if you need an invite. So up next, text gifting. Let's go. So text gifting. So this is an article that I brought up, Frank. It's something that I saw, and it caught my attention because as companies are looking to go more omni-channel, they're looking at different ways to engage their customers. Like text gifting is it's like the digital way of giving gifts to each other. And for instance, the article here was a company called Goody. They raised $4 million for its mobile app that lets you send gifts via text. So some of the gifts that they're sending are, the standard things you would think of, like an Amazon gift card, a Starbucks gift card, but also more elaborate things, like they show a picture of like someone sending macaroons through. I don't know how that actually works. Like, I don't know how you like get the macaroon and eat it through a text.
That requires a different device.
It requires a different device, like a 3D printer for macaroons or something like that.
That's right.
Right. But what do you think about this? What are your thoughts on this trend of? I was trying to think of a cool word like texting and gifting, but I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah. Texting. I don't know. I think that like this is really brilliant. And it's kind of like an obvious, it's almost a duh, because again, we look at like the paradigms that fell down in 2020, the fact that, people were constrained, confined, they can't get out, won't get out, don't want to get out. All of those things combined together, like the ability to access and express. And there was the feeling last year of like, being connected to other people was even more important. And this does that. This builds on all of those things. We've been talking about the mobility side. We've been talking about like the ease of use, removing friction, getting in your car and driving to, a local store and picking up a card and maybe a little gift to give, like that's too hard. That's too much friction. And in some respects, to some people, how they may look at it, too much risk. So like this couldn't be more timely. I think this is going to be something that is going to pop.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think this is a team of 9 individuals, like a team of 9. They launched this app in mid-December barely. So mid-December they launched this app. Mm-hmm. They've raised $4 million. It's kind of a testament to people who are like, you either are a digital business or you aren't. It's kind of a testament to that. Like if you're out there watching and you're thinking of like that next thing you're going to start, or thinking of how you're going to exit where you are, and looking at like where the opportunities exist, like look at the mundane things like sending gifts, like this group of 9 people thought about like, how can we make gifting easier through text message? And they built an app to do that. I'm not sure the exact specifics of how they get this done, but I mean, they're generating a lot of buzz here with respect to it. So
yeah, I mean, there's 2 things to this. I mean, one, there's like an emotional element to what they're doing, just not the cool stuff, but like, gifting is a very powerful thing for the human spirit. But here's the other thing too. Time, I believe, is the new currency. And in this right here, this is the ultimate respecting of one's time. So you think about gifting, you gift, and you move forward.
Yeah, well, speaking of moving forward, we're out of time. So up next, Elon Musk has a $100 million bounty for carbon removal. Not neutral carbon, but like actually removing carbon.
That's right.
So, Frank, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, obviously Elon Musk, he's a force to be reckoned with. When he tweets something like, for instance, Tesla's buying Bitcoin, everyone goes wild, right? So, what's your take on this?
Well, he's breaking the pattern again, right? So he's got this X Prize Foundation and he's funding it. And if you think about it, like it's completely, I mean, it's powerful. Like he is literally tying his company to a social cause, but not in, I mean, everything that he's doing here, like will play out in the betterment of everything that he's doing, but at the same time, he's backing something that, is right and just. And so it's really, really smart. And we saw something too, again, not to harken back to 2020, but it is such a milestone and such a, cutting event, is the fact that like where there were at the peak, where there were times where people actually stopped production, where they were polluting in certain parts of the world, the ability for the earth to like snap back quickly in terms of just reclamation was insanely fast. So like this reclamation project that he has underway is like really speaks to that. I think it's huge. It's smart, and it's just going to fuel like this outside community, because this is a community play.
Oh yeah, no, without question. And I really like kind of like the turn to I think there's a phrase like a B corporation. I'm not sure if that's what the X Prize is, but like where they're focused on social good. They're focused on impact over dollars first and foremost.
That's right.
And his attention to this. I know you have your own opinion on global warming and all that, and climate change. Like definitely is real, but you have your opinion on that as well.
Yep.
But it's interesting to see like when the clock is actually ticking on us for global warming and climate change. And some scientists are saying like, things are going to get really scary by 2050, et cetera.
That's right.
Like, time to take action is now. I mean, from Moon Man himself, the guy who wants to like put people on Mars, I think within the next 5 years, I think it was like by 2025, he wants to put people on Mars.
Yeah.
Why is he doing all that? Because like he's seeing this bigger picture. There's a bigger picture out there. You got to kind of read between the lines with Musk and with others out there to really get an understanding of what they think is going on in the world and what they think the future of everything is here.
Yeah, this is a smart mitigation method, and I'd love to see more of these things going on.
Cool. Well, up next, the hybrid workforce is emerging. So here we go. Start the clock here. So Frank, hybrid workforce, like this is the term. I think like if you're on mute was the term of 2020, I think hybrid workforce is going to be the term of 2021.
It was, and it's kind of a big duh. I mean, I'm not trying to talk down the article, but of course, I mean, we're this whole concept of going back and the new normal, and these are whatever times put in the moniker. Is played out. The reality is that people have found a new way to work, and they like it. And they're actually, employers are seeing that their people are actually more productive. And there's some lifestyle balancing that has to occur, right? We said like work from home, or do you live at work? Like that compounding, where do you sit on that spectrum? But this is really about like what we've done in our Recovery X framework and our RX framework for a healthy business is architecting from the inside out. That's really what all of this is. And I think the impact is huge. It impacts hiring and retention. They talk about that big time in the article. So like there's now like a viewpoint as to like who you can bring on board. The impact on like your office configuration. What does that even look like? And how is it purposed, to get the best out of a working day and when you come in? And then I think it's all about like how you kit out your people to be the best they can be, like whatever their mission is. So it makes sense, and I think it's really good. I think that the hybrid workforce is emerging. I don't think it's emerging. I think it's here.
Oh no, I completely agree. I mean, speaking of like hybrid workforce, like here in a co-working facility, like co-working facilities have not bounced back to the slightest. I saw another article that said WeWork is actually surprisingly doing good, apparently, after they've had a lot of mishaps even before COVID. That's right. It'll be interesting. Like, do you think it creates a level of friction, like when we're hybrid, like a day in the office versus a day at home, and like mixing that? Like obviously like we'll be able to track like, hey, guess what? You were actually less productive in the office, go figure, than you were when you were working from home. Like I think that'll be like a clear, that's my thesis, like that'll be a clear thing. But there's also like the cultural aspect of like, yeah, but you were less productive, but you grew relationships, you built rapport more. You did other things, you did other areas, you built culture.
That's right.
Right. So I think that needs to be taken into account. So the thing I would think with hybrid workforce is I don't want to see people like leaders going in there and saying, well, guess what? You were less productive at work, so We want you to just stay home from now on. Like, I don't want to see people like analyze the data too much, because I think we tend to overanalyze data, and we tend to like make it gospel instead of, you know, what it is.
Yeah, this is a journey and it's an experience. Like, this is something that is going to find its equilibrium over time. But I think that it's also going to cause people to think, and that's a good thing.
Yes. Oh, yes. So up next, 1 billion AI minutes. Let's talk about this. So Dialpad recently just came out with their report that they have already assessed 1 billion AI minutes. Mm-hmm. So Dialpad is a UC provider. They're UCaaS provider, one of our partners. But besides that fact, it's interesting that we've already come to a place of 1 billion AI minutes. And what that really means is that they have consumed over 1 billion minutes, where they've actually broken down word by word every phrase that was spoken on those calls.
That's right.
And transcribed them and applied some sort of automation to it.
That's right. Or analytic, right? You know, so like there's the performance support aspects of, hey, I'm going to shoot a card up to you that says, hey, you're saying too many times, or this person is talking about this particular problem, and here's a card that allows you to kind of like dissect that and help them with that problem. So I think that like that is hugely powerful. Like what they're doing around performance support, in the moment support, and the analytics side is huge. And it's actually, when you think about the 1 billion, I don't even really know how to unpack that. I don't know, like if that's X amount of users, X amount of time, like there's some sort of formula that breaks down, that gets you thinking like, you know, 500,000 people experienced this, or there were 500,000 conversations that were analyzed. But here's the key: is that we spend so much time in customer experience and digital experience getting people to be engaged, right? Like there's this whole customer journey: acquisition, activation, now you're top of funnel, what's happening around engagement. And then there's this time when engagement occurs. And like we call that the space in between. Now here's this space in between. We got everybody to the dance. Are you going to dance? What are you going to talk about? And what's really cool about this is that, like with this AI technology, we can give people tools at that point of intersection. And this is, I think, like very promising. You know, it's way more than, you know, we recorded this and we broke down the words 10 times more.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. You know, raise your hand if your company records your calls, right? Like, yeah, every company is probably doing that. Like, that is almost table stakes at this point.
Who cares?
Who cares? But point to me the individual in the company that's going back and listening to all those call recordings, because I promise you, you're gonna find that no one's raising their hand. Like, oh yeah, I listened to 100% of our calls.
Maybe in a call center, like samples, right?
Yeah, samples. Yeah, small samples, but you know that's a lot of time to consume. So being able to like have it in an AI fashion, to be able to just Google search, like if you're a restaurant, hey, how many times did somebody request vegan options? Oh, 1,000 times.
That's right.
Oh, we still don't have one? Well, we just lost 1,000 customers potentially forever, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it does matter. Like that space in between that you were talking about, like previously the space in between has just been like this free for all, like it's a lost space. Like,
who knew what happened?
Who knows what happens? We hope for the best. We hope for the best. That's all we can.
Hope not being a strategy.
Yes. And last but not least, will CMOs, chief marketing officers, own the contact center? So I have my take on this, and then I'll pass it to you, Frank. I mean, we've been seeing this trend. We talked about it on the show a couple of times already, like MarTech, marketing and tech, the collusion, the colliding of these forces. It's one to be reckoned with. It's one that you can't stop. You know, we talked about it on our podcast. You know, Fridays, the restaurant group no longer has a CIO. They no longer have a chief marketing officer. They have a CXO, a chief experience officer. Frank?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think first of all, you're right. Like this is nothing new. This is not news, but it's restructured in the fact that like maybe should CMOs be in charge of that? I mean, typically they don't have like the background or experience typically, but it depends upon the organization you're in, that person's, you know, background and their experience. But it makes sense. Like CMOs have been influencing technology for a while, and there's this collision. It's almost title collision. Like what? CIO? Is the CIO leaning towards becoming the CXO? We've seen that with people that we've interviewed and that we've talked about, and where their role has changed. CMOs becoming more technically competent. I think this strip away titles for a second. This is what is probably like what the universe is screaming at us right now through this article. And that is, if you're going to buy technology, right, as part of customer experience and digital experience, you've got to know your customer, right? Not so much know your markets. Like nobody in the history of mankind has ever sold to a market. You know, a company has never ever bought anything from anybody. People buy things from people, pure and simple, right? And so the people inside your organization who understand the people that you're buying from, right, and what that experience should be heavily influencing or dictating the technology that you're bringing on board. Plain and simple. Whether that person grew up as an IT nerd, not all IT people are nerds, by the way, but you know that they come from that ilk, right? Or the creative marketer. See all these nice little stereotypes popping in there. It's just, do you have a mind for technology and do you have a heart for the customer?
Oh, without a doubt. The question will unfold itself, right? Will the CIO become the CMO, or will the CMO become the CIO? Right?
Let's find out.
They're gonna duke it out.
They are.
But I think it is very interesting. Like I think if stereotypically, right? Like the CIO is responsible for the digital transformation efforts.
Right.
CMO is responsible for like essentially the voice of the customer. Like they're marketing to the customer. They should know what the customer needs to some extent, what they want, how they respond to some degree, how they engage. So it makes perfect sense to me that the CMO will ultimately own the contact center.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in that, for that to happen, that CMO is going to have to own a heck of a lot more than the contact center.
And they're going to have their own evolution, right? They're going to have their own like core competency evolution around that topic matter.
Oh, without a doubt. Guys, that is the show. Frank, it comes so fast. We're hanging out on Clubhouse. As soon as we wrap up the show here, we're going to pivot over to Clubhouse. So I already see Charlie, Renee, and Greg on Clubhouse. If you guys want to hang in there for 1 second, we're going to bring you up on stage in just a second here. And last call to you guys on LinkedIn Live. Thanks for watching the show. We'll see you guys back here for week 7 next Tuesday. And if you want to jump in Clubhouse, we'll be over there for the next 30 minutes or so, just chatting it up. Acuerdo.club is the link. So we'll see you guys there, or we won't.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a great day. Have a great week. Peace be with you.